Mine's not that bad today.
You were on the couch doing it,
Well, it was after I ate my chickens.
and the chickens kick it up with the cheese.
Yeah, that's probably not the best thing for me to eat. But now all I'm thinking about is having donuts.
Oh. Okay.
Now it's garbage.
Just another movie night.
All right. Hello and welcome to the show. I am Scott, and with me is Joe.
Hi, I'm Joe.
Hi, Joe.
You never introduced me like, is Joe? You always say, this is my beautiful wife, Joe.
Well, I'm trying to change it up. I'm trying to keep you on your feet.
Yeah, okay, I like it.
We are doing Talking Trash.
Talking trash.
Yeah, this is Talking Trash. We are back in action, finding some trashy movies. And the other day, Joe put on a movie.
I stumbled upon this movie. It's on Shudder.
Yeah, the running joke is that when we want to watch a movie or Joe says, you know what, I want something in the background, I usually suggest like a documentary because it's good. You can listen to it and pick up, some interesting facts in the background. But you always choose a random B horror film.
I picked like the trashiest of the trash.
Yeah, and this was no different. But the problem with that is I always say, well, this might actually turn out to be a
Talking
Talking
trash
Trash
worthy.
episode for our show. And this movie started off right off the bat, and I said, stop this movie. We're going to have to do this for the show. So tonight we
I was
watched...
like, damn, I really wanted to watch it. So
Tonight,
it's
yeah, so tonight we decided to sit back and watch a movie that was made in 1978, got released only in their hometown in 1979, and actually released worldwide in 1984.
oh yikes.
We're talking about the three-letter word, bog.
bog.
They say that a bog is a wetland that eats dead plants and makes moss. But the British call a bog a bathroom. And I think that's a better terminology for this movie. A straight up bathroom.
Yeah.
And
Was
I had a
bad.
friggin' blast watching this piece of shit. When you're talking so bad, it's good. And you're looking for certain things, this movie has it in spades. This movie has everything that you want from a really bad movie to laugh at.
I mean, it really does. Like, it has, well, I can't stand 70s fashion. It had 70s fashion.
Yeah.
It had a monster, if you want to call
I
it.
mean, I guess so, yeah.
It had a really, really, really bad music that was
Yeah.
supposed to be like romantic in a horror movie, except it it wasn't, like, it was just not placed properly. It was like romantic music in a horror movie.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I'm flabbergasted. It had really bad dialogue.
Oh, man, look at that. I'll bet they got muskies out there big enough to eat my whole entire body. That Grant wasn't lying, man. He wasn't.
Ryan, Grant's lying in his tomb, dummy.
Hey, I don't know how you can drink that, yeah.
And you can tell that this movie did not have a single person in the makeup and wardrobe department.
Yeah. You know how I knew we should do this for the show was that in the opening 5 seconds or 5 minutes of the movie or whatever it is, it was a driving montage.
In the green family truckster.
The surefire way of knowing that you're about to watch a terrible film.
Well, this is not true because this is reminiscent of the opening of The Shining.
Yeah,
when
but
the
let's-
Torrance family was driving to the Overlook Hotel forever.
Let's talk about the differences between The Shining and this opening. Okay, so in The Shining, we have shots of a family, shots of beautiful mountains, with terrifying music playing.
Okay, yes.
To tell you about the oncoming doom. Now, what did this movie do? This movie had the same type of shot, except no showing a family inside the car, just an aerial shot of a car driving with this music. Now, can you do me a big favor and give me your best impression of what this song sounds like?
Just sitting in a meadow, looking at flowers,
It's pretty good, actually.
looking at the sun in my sundress with my bottle of wine.
I know, I'm trying to remember the words, but it's
I mean, those are not the words.
It's like driving. We're driving down the road. There's sunlight hitting the car.
See, at least mine was a little more romantic. Yours is like...
We're together in the car. Driving. Now go back to do The Shining.
Yeah, The Shining.
Right off the bat, we knew it, and also, this is Talking Trash, and so what we do on Talking Trash, let's say this real quick: we watch bad movies so you don't have to, and we love telling you the entire plot, running it down, discussing it, and just knocking the crap out of it. So this movie opens up
There's a lot to knock.
very quick with a guy, a typical, first off, this looks like home video.
It really does.
And it's a guy in a fishing boat who, your typical drunk guy in a fishing boat, and he gets instantly attacked within this, it's like seconds. Just a guy in a boat getting attacked. And now, I have to ask you, how did his scream sound? And that's when it cuts to the music that we just did a minute ago with the driving scene.
Yes.
It just cuts right into it.
I'm sitting in a beautiful field.
I love how you sing field. Now I can't wait to hear it again because
Dreaming of you. You make me happy in my beautiful sundress.
sundress. I'm wearing a sundress.
You are the love of my life.
Walk with me hand in hand, endlessly. Tonight will live forever in our minds. Hold me soft and warm, summer's breeze, and show me, love me one more time.
I want to go fishing
Yeah.
with you.
Oh, perfect segue because that's when we meet the people in the car and they do not love each other.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, so it's two couples.
Two couples.
And, Jesus, they're
Two
the
men.
worst. The worst.
Imagine the guys from Strange Brew, from the old SCTV joke. The Strange Brew guys, the two drunks from Canada, but they have wives with them.
We're the McKenzie brothers, eh?
How's it going?
Our topic today is the beauty shot.
Yeah, look how beautiful it is. Look at that head. It's making me kind of thirsty right now.
Hey, you can't drink beer on TV, eh? It's illegal.
Okay, fine. Cut.
He drank the beer, is that a problem?
No way. It evaporated. And I'm still thirsty.
Go!
Cut.
We're gonna get sued, eh? What'd you go and drink the beauty shot for?
To me, there's nothing more beautiful than an empty glass, eh?
Yeah.
And these wives did not want to go on this trip. And how they even got them to go on this trip is mind-blowing.
Yeah, they were making a joke at one point. They're like, oh, you guys shouldn't have come here because you guys are thinking about going to Saks Fifth Avenue. Well, we're thinking about getting in a boat and, fishing and drinking some beer.
They're not even thinking about that. They're plastered the moment they get out of this car.
They're wasted. So, yeah, they tell their wives that you guys don't want to be here. And the women clearly don't.
They're complaining about everything.
What's amazing about this is, like, the guys are telling the wives, like I even mentioned to you, I'm like, the guys are telling the wives, oh, you guys are, want to be at Saks Fifth Avenue right now. And I'm thinking, these motherfuckers cannot even afford Saks Fifth Avenue. Yeah. Like, they literally are the most podunk people ever with no money at all. They're driving like a mint green family truckster. I mean, it's the 70s, so obviously it's normal. But, I mean, they just don't, they're like, they look like a mess. Yeah. They don't look like they're going to Saks Fifth Avenue anytime soon. So I think that was funny.
Yeah, I mean, they're talking about... First off, they say every second, hand me a beer. And these wives are just making these faces of, like, just, disgust. They're so uncomfortable.
They don't want to be out there. But, I have already off the bat, I even said to you, I'm like, okay, so they're supposed to be at, like, okay, it's supposed to be a bog. They're calling it a bog. It's a lake. There's nothing.
Well, I think a bog is just, isn't it a part of a wetland?
Isn't it like a swampy area? Like a swampy...
Yeah, where the moss, like, grows?
Yeah, well, I didn't see any of that. It looked just like a regular lake to me. I don't know. That's probably
it's kind of confusing on that, yeah.
But there's nothing about a bog that, like... I mean, I think bog, like, like...
British bathroom.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something. After watching this movie and now knowing the movie, how do you think the trailer goes for this film? Because we haven't seen it.
Okay.
What do you think if you had to do your impersonation of the trailer and the theme? Like, what's the tagline and the trailer guy say in this trailer?
If I had to guess?
Yeah.
I would say, don't go near the bog. There's something waiting for you under the water. Don't go fishing.
Rated R.
Rated R. Actually, this movie is rated PG.
Oh.
Not lying to you.
Okay, yeah, that kind of makes sense. That makes sense.
I mean, when you think about it, because there's no freaking carnage at all.
Yeah. I was thinking something like this.
You can't even get it out.
For God's sakes, get out of the bog before the bog gets in you.
Well, I guess that's more appropriate, yeah.
That's my impersonation.
I like it.
Editor's note. Couldn't find an actual trailer, but a YouTube profile called Mr. Bog, dedicated just to the movie The Bog, made this hilarious fan trailer, and I had to put a part from it.
The creature will not yield. It will not stop. Not until it gets what it wants. Your blood. Gloria DeHaven, Aldo Ray, Marshall Thompson. Bog. A film by Don Kiesler, written by Carl N. Kitt.
So, all right.
A fishing trip goes wrong in the bog.
So these two couples are on a fishing trip, and things start happening right away. Like, there's really no downtime in this movie. Like, it starts right away.
Which is odd, because later on, it just gets into... Well, I guess we'll get into it, but it slows down pretty damn quick.
It does. It does.
This movie should have been called The Conversation. or Science Talk. That I would have liked the movie if it was called Science Talk.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So, yeah, so then cut to the one couple in a fishing boat.
Well, I
right?
think they talk about because I think they get there pretty late, and he's like, "Well, we'll get let's split up and get alone time together, wives." And the wives are like, no. Well, the girls are gonna go sleep in the back of the truck, and you guys can sleep in the sleeping bag." And then they go, "Wait a minute, isn't that like incest?" And I was like, I don't know what's happening.
They're not sisters, so
Nope.
I don't understand that.
No
line of
relation, it
dialogue.
seems like to me.
The dialogue, I'm just going to say this right now. The dialogue in this movie is so ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've never... It's this most pointless thing. It's like this director and writer went to like the Tommy Wiseau School of Dialogue, you know, because there's...
I desperately looked for somebody who had dialogue sheets for this movie so we could do the dialogue together.
Oh my God.
I wanted to see if we could both do our versions of all the dialogue because it's insane, the dialogue in this film.
Hey, what's this? I thought they said nobody ever comes up here.
Leave it to those guys to drag us out to a VFW convention.
Hey, Chuck! Chucky Poo!
We got company!
Company? We better check this out. Come on. Listen, I tell you what, you do me a favor, all right?
All right.
You don't call me Chucky Poo and I don't bend your nose in.
All right.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, this couple, like you were saying, I guess they go to bed. They wake up the next day to go fishing. But for some reason the two couples split up. That's where I got a little confused. I didn't know what was happening. One couple decides they find a boat. It was from the guy who in the opening who died. His boat's just randomly sitting there. So naturally these couples just go, "Hey, let's use this random boat that's filled with stuff." So the one couple goes in the boat and they go out to the water. And the other couple just starts going walking to go fishing.
Yeah, they don't need a boat. They're just going they're just going to
They
stay on the
split
side
up. You
of
think
the...
the two guys would want to be together.
Yeah.
And so
Well,
what's
they all
weird?
probably couldn't fit in the boat.
Yeah.
It looked like a rinky-dink little shit.
The people in the boat get bumped by something, and she gets extremely scared.
Rightfully so.
And he's just like, it's nothing, right? And it's a big bump, like a gator hit them or something, you know? And all of a sudden, the people on the shore, we keep cutting back and forth between these two couples. And the couple on the shore have gone walking, and she's miserable. And he's like just walking through bushes, and she's like, how the hell am I supposed to get through these bushes? I don't have a knife. I need an axe. And he's like, follow me, slave woman, or something like that.
Yeah, he says something like ridiculously inappropriate for like no
something
reason.
weird.
Like the dialogue in this movie is mind-boggling. It's just, I said bog. See what I did?
Mind-boggling?
I said mind-boggling.
Damn pine needles. Ah! Gee. Alan! Just how the hell do you expect me to get through this stuff, huh? I need an axe!
Ask me no question, slave person. I lead and you follow. You.
God damn it, Ellen.
You know, the woman says, he says, well, honey, she's like, I want to go home. Just take me home. Please, I want to go home. And then he's like, come on, honey, just a couple days. Just a couple days.
Days?
I know, days.
I'm like,
and then
no
he's
way.
like, I'll make it up to you when I get home, I promise. And she's like, okay, you will make it up to me when you take me and my mother out for dinner. And he goes, ugh, your mother?
I mean, she's punishing him for sure.
Yeah, well, this is perfect timing because right after she says this, and remember, and by the way, the camera work is dreadful, and it's only on her, and he's off camera, and you can hear him go, your mother? And we cut back to the people on the boat, and the woman who just said my mother starts screaming. And the people on the boat go, oh my God, that's her.
Mm-hmm.
And they cut, it looks like cuts of her underwater being grabbed by what looks like a log, but I think it's supposed to be a crab hand of some sort.
It looks like a claw.
It's like a claw, like a big claw.
It kind of looks like a scorpion's, like, you know, a scorpion.
pincher.
Yeah, like a pincher.
And it looks like a log because at this time we don't know what the hell's going on. So you just look like a log is holding her foot underwater, and it's like flashes.
Mm-hmm.
And so they race out of the water to get to land. And when they get to land, the husband who was with her wasn't anywhere near her for some reason, although they were standing next to each other a second ago. And he's like, I don't know where my wife is. I can't find her anywhere. And then the other couple go, just everybody, you go this way. And he just runs off. And then he tells his wife, hey, get to the car, get inside the car, and hide. Just in case something's going on.
Which was amazing because when this woman runs to the car,
She runs away to the car.
She doesn't have the keys to get in.
True. And also, something attacks her from what looks like the air.
Oh my god, yeah. So she's looking all the way up to the sky and screaming her head off. And so at that point, I'm like, oh my god, I think I know what this is. I think I know what it is.
You say this the whole movie.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't even have this idea until later when they start talking about what's going on.
Well, I was thinking it, but I didn't say it until later on.
I don't even know how your mind would have went to that at this point in time.
Well, because...
It would have happened after this with the conversation about it later.
Yeah, I was still thinking about it. I was like, there's got to be some kind of a huge...
Well, hey, okay.
Okay, I'm not going to say
The camera
anything.
attacks this girl's face, and it comes from the sky. And the way that this movie decides to do the attack is not with gore or anything like that. It freeze frames on her screaming face, and the screen is red. That's it. And it's like it's just like a split second.
It's like, okay, that's what you're showing us. Because this movie is rated PG, they couldn't even put a single thing in there.
Yeah.
Which I'm shocked they actually did put in what they did put in later on. But, so, obviously, both wives have
disappeared. Yeah, we know this because all of a sudden the two husbands run into town and stop the local sheriff, and I'm mad because I'm forgetting this actor's name, but this movie's got all-star B-movie all-stars.
Yeah, his name is Aldo Ray.
Aldo Ray.
Yeah.
He's in a ton of B movies.
Yeah, he really is.
He died at like 60-something years old,
He was
and
64,
he looks like he's that age in this, which is insane.
Yeah, he does.
So, yeah, he was like 10 years younger here, and that's crazy.
Like, oh my god, these movies, Jesus.
Yeah, he's been in
Shock
some...
'em Dead. I can go on for days with this guy's
Yeah,
filmography, but yeah.
Young Rebels and stuff like that. Yeah, and,
Hollywood Cop.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He's, I think he played the chief or something.
Yeah.
One of those.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this guy shows up. He's the sheriff, and he's talking to another guy who's another older gentleman, who is also, I believe, an actor. It's in some B stuff too. The actors in this, they're old time actors.
But they also, I mentioned to you, like all the actors in this movie are not supposed to be old, I guess, but they all look old.
They
like
all
the two
are
wives,
super old. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody in this
At
movie
one
looks
point,
old.
one of the characters mentions, he says, well, you know, I've been living in this town since I was a kid, so about 40 years. And we're like, wait a minute.
What?
Is he saying that he's only 50 because this guy's 60-something?
Yeah.
And it's wild. I guess the bog is aging everybody in this movie. I mean, who knows? Well, except for one cop who looks like a young guy. So there's like two older gentlemen talking, and it's the sheriff, and it turns out the local scientist.
Okay, she's a
No,
pathologist.
it's not her.
Okay.
It's the other guy. It's the guy.
Okay. So he's a doctor, but we don't know what he's a doctor of.
He keeps mentioning how he constantly mentions that he's just a podunk scientist. And
Well,
he doesn't have any big city degrees.
like any big training or
yeah,
anything.
he keeps mentioning this. He keeps saying, well,
We have no idea what he's a doctor of, but he's a doctor.
he's some kind of scientist of some sort. Some kind of, because I don't know what his job class is, but he's just there with the sheriff, and the two husbands from the opening basically come there. They seem like they're plastered, like they get drunk after what happened.
Yeah.
And they're saying that their wives are missing and they need help finding them. And that they think something attacked them. And he mentions that the thing that bumped them in the boat lifted them out of the water. At the time, he didn't give a shit. But now he's like, you know what? That was some super dangerous stuff happening.
Looking back now, maybe that was bad.
Yeah, you know what? That could have been something for real. Because now that they're missing, you know, he's like, we need help. We need people to come and look. And the sheriff is basically passing them off by going, yeah, sure, we'll get right on it. We'll get everybody in town looking for your wives.
Gentlemen, this is Doc Brad Wednesday, our local MD. Chuck Pierce, Alan Tanner, I believe.
Hi, Doc. Why don't we move over here out of the way? Sheriff Wright over here has been telling me a rather incredible story over the phone. I'm really very, very sorry to hear about your wives, and I'm certain that everything humanly possible is being done to find them. Right, Neil?
Yeah, Brad. I've got 25 guys out there now looking for them.
Well, didn't they go to a gun shop at one point?
That hasn't happened. Yeah, that hasn't happened yet. Yeah. Yeah,
like 2 places in this whole town.
Yeah, there's only a few location shots in this. It's
really.
Now we have to say that Aldo Ray, the actor playing the sheriff, and the other guy playing the scientist, they're awful. They do not know their lines, and they're bumbling through them. Especially the sheriff, Aldo Ray. He there's a few times where he definitely screws up his lines, but they kept it in.
And then he tries to like correct himself as if like, oh, he said that on purpose.
And a lot of time he like shakes it off by saying, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Maybe I'm dense, but what kind of thing would have a hypodermic needle for a mouth? I mean, hypodermic needle. I'm all right.
Yeah, like,
You know?
I mean, any director would have cut that and then reshot it.
I mean, it just makes everybody look incompetent.
This guy, I mean, this director, he only directed 3 things.
Oh, I thought this was his only movie.
He directed 3 things. I have no idea
I don't
what
know
the
if they're
other
full-length
2
movies.
Yeah. Well, no, they are an hour and a half.
Oh, wow, okay.
So I just don't know. I mean, it seems like everyone in this movie is completely incompetent.
Well, I don't know. After this movie released, I don't know how this guy didn't make a whole bunch of movies because holy shit, this is a gem. They're basically like, all right, we're gonna go look for your wives, and they do go looking for the wives. They round up, I guess, some cops in town to go through the woods. And we get some footage of people walking around in the forest, and they find, like, their sleeping bags and everything covered in what looks like seaweed. Mm-hmm. And then they find their 2 wives dead. Almost a couple feet away from each other.
Yeah, but, like, I mean, this is actually kind of, I mean, they don't really show anything, but you could tell that all the, like, blood is drained out of their body.
Yeah, they're, like, gray.
Yeah.
They have some, like, gray, like, makeup on them or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, that's the extent of the special effects.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's the extent of the hard work of the makeup department because literally there's no hair and makeup, there's no wardrobe. I mean, there might be, but it's you can't tell.
You can't tell.
But yeah.
So they find their wives, and this is where we meet. Well, we have the sheriff now and the other scientist guy hanging out in what I guess is the sheriff's office. It's the sheriff's office of some sort. And they're talking about the 2 dead bodies, basically. And they said, well, you know, he's bumbling through his lines, and he's virtually like, well, let's wait till the pathologist gets in here. She knows. She's got a degree. We're dummies. Mm-hmm. And then that's when we meet our third main character, which is this older woman.
I'm telling you, everyone looks old in this movie.
She looks like, what's her face from the West Side Story growing up?
Oh, yeah, she does. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and you know, she is
Rita Moreno.
Yes, she's been working forever, this actress.
Yeah, I'm looking at her resume right now.
She is Frank Sinatra's first on-screen kiss in a movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she has been in a ton of stuff. She has done a lot of movies.
A lot of TV.
She might have got blackballed from Hollywood because she refused to do a certain movie that she was forced into a contract.
Really?
And I think that she kind of screwed herself up, which is funny that she did this movie.
I mean, this is a pretty long resume. Jesus.
Yeah. She's been working since the 40s. I think she was working.
Yeah, let me see.
Yeah, she's been in a lot, and she outlived everybody in this movie, I think.
Yeah, she lived to 91, and yes, you're right. She was working in the 1940s.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she's had a long career.
Long career,
yes.
A lot of stuff. A lot of interesting stuff, too, which is really interesting. There's another actor that comes in later on who's also in a ton of movies that like westerns, like a famous western actor. So yeah, so this woman shows up, and this is where it gets really funny to me. This is where the movie really kicks into high gear for me as a great bad movie, because the three of these actors talking together is just gold. It's just terribly directed. Shots scroll in on people's faces when they shouldn't. It usually you use that for tension or shock, but sometimes it just pans into someone's face
for no reason.
For no reason, and sits there. And they do this to this woman a lot, and a lot of the actors have to talk off screen while the camera's on a close-up of this woman's face. Now, she's talking about... Oh, okay, we have to get into this. The two actors talk to each other, and this happens... This is virtually, I would say, 75% of this movie is these two actors talking to each other in scientific mumbo-jumbo.
You can tell.
I want to meet a scientist who could just watch this movie and tell me how nonsensical everything is.
I know. And you could tell that they're using words, like real words, but they're using them in like some kind of context that it just doesn't make any sense at all.
It was like, why would they go this smart? I can't understand anything they're saying. Even if it doesn't make sense, I can't tell. And you said that all the words are real? There's a couple times where we're like, that's not real.
No, I had to look up the words. I looked up.
You
yes.
I was like, I need to get the text on the bottom here just to search half what they're saying.
Yeah, I know. I looked up one of the words that she said, and it was actually a real word. But the way she was using it didn't make any sense. It was like they were putting the words on the screen, and the words were coming out of their mouth, but just not in the right order.
Let's do our best interpretation of what happens in the scenes. But I'll be him, and you be her. And let's do the scene in which they look into a microscope.
Okay, first of all, can we just say that he looks in the microscope with his closed eye?
Yeah.
And he realizes it, and then he switches.
It's so good. So good. But just like, let's just see if we can talk to each other like they're talking to each other.
Okay. Well, Brad, the iodine in this metallurgic reaction has caused a symphonic doohickey in the chemical transition and has now imploded and implanted its regurgitation.
Oh my God, Betty. I don't know a hill of beans from a hill of cans. But I'll tell you something. The thingamajig on the right-hand side of the Silicon Valley will only tell me that the buttons on the left-hand side of my right-hand aggregator would only give radioactive sesotypes from the Silicon Valley. And I'll tell you what. You got a sexy ass.
I'm dying over here. I'm trying to be quiet. I can't. Oh my God. That's no joke. That is exactly how they talk in this movie.
You know, and I love the weird sayings they keep saying about themselves. Like they're all saying something crazy like, what was a couple of them? We kept looking at each other like, what the frick? Like the like, you know what I'm saying? The sayings where the guy's like, well, I don't know anything from a frangabajang during a mimibajim. And I'm like, what the? You know, I'm just an old country folk. I know nothing but a can of worms.
I mean,
and I'm like, what the fuck does that mean?
Seriously, I had to like look away from the screen for a moment and think, like, was that what I heard, or have I gone mental?
Is the flimagim coming from the flamagajam? You know, I think that the sterile like is tungsten. And you're like, I know that word.
The doohickey clencher, when you don't really know what that is.
Yeah.
It's something that is something that we know is something, but we don't know what it is.
The white blood cells seem to be affected by the phlegmogym, and the phlegmogym is moving through the cardiovascular system. And I'm like, I know some of those words.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We know some of the words that they're saying, but they're not saying it in the right order or the right context.
And now let's do the sheriff, because we're saying all those phlegmogyms, and then the sheriff is like this. Huh? What? I don't know what's happening. Anybody want drinks? And they drink a lot. And there's the one scene where he seems to pour alcohol from a soap bottle.
Okay, it looks like, you know what it looks like? One of those travel
shampoo bottles.
That's what it looks like.
He
I'm like,
pours it into 2 glasses, and the camera zooms in on the 2 glasses to watch them be filled.
I don't
like,
understand.
this is a huge moment in the movie.
What is the
This
point?
movie is crazy. Now, so this woman comes in, and she's the pathologist, right?
Yes, but her name is Ginny.
Oh, okay. Glad you told me, because I was going to call her Betty.
You kept calling, you called her Betty. I'm like, but at least I got my guy right, Dr. Brad.
Dr. Brad. He's an old man who doesn't know a lot about a lot, but he knows a little bit about something.
Oh, God.
So she comes in the room, and this is amazing. This is the best introduction to a character ever. She says that the blood has been sucked from their bodies.
Okay, yeah, well, she performed the autopsy.
Yeah, she says it hasn't been sucked from their bodies, but the blood has been missing. And there's only some scratches. And they don't know, and the sheriff is like, I don't understand how blood can come out of a body without any holes or any suction. And she comes in the room and she says, the blood has been taken from these women. I think we might have a Dracula on our hands.
It's the best line in the movie.
Do you think we have a Dracula? And no one laughs. They're straight up taking this seriously. They're like, holy shit, there might be a Dracula up in here.
Yes, they're considering the fact that they might happen.
Have they had multiple Dracula attacks?
It happens, sometimes here and there. The last one was about 45 years ago. They had a Dracula.
I talk a lot about Drac attacks, and you gotta really be careful around Drac attacks.
Jesus Christ.
The fact that she says, do you think we have a Dracula, is outstanding. She is a scientist who has lots of degrees. They keep talking about how smart she is, and she's saying a Dracula.
Yeah, and she also has like a lot of dialogue in this movie.
Do you feel like the writer or whoever wrote her this dialogue, do you think that they said to her, we can't get the trademark on vampire?
I mean, what?
So go for Dracula, the named vampire.
I know, right? So I was gonna say, why can't you just say a vampire?
The only thing I could think of is in mythology, vampires, something like that. Instead, she says, "I think we might have a Dracula." Unbelievable. She delivered that line of dialogue with a straight face.
Brad, don't look at me that way, and don't think I'm crazy. But could we have a Dracula running loose out there?
And the camera zooms up on her.
Yep. And
right on her face
this
to
is
say
the
that line.
point that I came and I said, oh my God, I know exactly what's happening in this movie. It's a goddamn huge mutated mosquito.
Yeah, when you said that, I was like, it could be, but they would have called this movie something cooler.
Well, okay, so it's a bog, which is really a lake, but it's a bog. And usually around, those southern parts of the U.S., there's a lot of mosquitoes around water areas and stuff. So I'm like, okay, that would make sense. And then the blood was drained from their bodies. So, and it came from the sky.
Yeah, we did see it. It seemed to have come from the sky and underwater.
Yeah, and they also threw us off a little because they said that it's dwelling underwater. That's why it knocked the boat,
Yeah, there was also that reference about the boat being.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Okay, mosquitoes don't live underwater, so that theory is out the window. But
it makes sense about mosquitoes flying around swamp water.
Yeah.
Because these bugs are attracted to the dampness, right?
Yeah. So I like my theory, but that's not what's going on here.
That isn't what's going on. It's what's going on is even more wacky than you could ever imagine ever. But it's hard to even discuss this movie properly because there's at least 13 scenes of science talk.
The diggity clencher.
The diggity clencher with the flaming flam in the Silicon Valley. And I guess what happens next is the 2 drunk husbands who seem to be drunk again show up to go look at their wives' bodies. And the sheriff sees them somehow through the building and goes, oh, damn it, those are the husbands. And he yells at his guy. outside, I guess his deputy, and says, stop them from coming in. We don't want them to see the body until the autopsy is done.
Mm-hmm.
Because we got to get to the bottom of these Dracula attacks. These Drac attacks. And
he doesn't say Drac attack.
No, I wish he
but
did.
I would love it if he
There's
said.
only one reference. The Dracula comment is only one, but it'll never go away because it's incredible. So yeah, he tells them, stop them. We don't want them to see the bodies. So this deputy is the worst at telling somebody not to do something. So he goes outside. All he has to say is, there's an autopsy and you can come back later. Right now, it's not the right time for this. You can't go see the bodies right now. We have to get to the bottom of what happened. But no, he does the complete opposite of this. He walks outside, stops him outside the building and says, no, you got to leave. You can't see your wives. Sorry about your dead bodies. Sorry about your dead wives, but you can't go in there yet. Right? Doesn't he say something crazy?
he
Like,
says something-
sorry about your dead wives?
Yeah, he says something to that effect. Something ridiculous. I'm like, wow, that's sensitive.
Yeah, and the guy goes, no, I want to go see my wife. And then he's like, you ain't going to do that, buddy. He actually, like, manhandles one of them.
Yeah, he does.
And the other one, they seem like they're wasted. And the other one just grabs him and goes, let's go. And when they get into the car, they just automatically leave. They give up real quick. They don't really give a shit about these wives.
They don't seem to give a shit about the wives when they were alive. So
When they get in the car, it's like a really fast cut away. But right when they get into the car, one of them says something like, what is this bottle?
Where's the bottle? I want the bottle.
And that's it. And then they just cuts
that
away.
was what was the bottle?
I think that they're just making it. I think one of the actors just said that while they were getting in the car, like they were drunk.
Oh, jeez.
And
Maybe
what's
they
this
were
bottle?
drunk actually through the whole movie.
That could be definitely
That would
true,
be
actually.
amazing trivia if that was like actually on IMDb, but it's not.
It's not. Yeah, it's not enough trivia on this one. I cannot believe people haven't hunted down any facts on this movie.
I know. Well, we're the only two humans that have seen it.
That is not true.
Okay.
There's
well,
got to be a bog.
I'm sure they didn't have
There's
a big
got to be
premiere
a
at
bog.
Cannes.
Shit. There. If Tommy Wiseau is going around and Neil Breen is going around, this bog movie has to be out there.
I mean,
I guarantee somebody like Michelle Steer has done this movie, and there's a fan base.
okay, there has to. Okay, yes. Okay, so here's what you guys do if you're listening: go to on Instagram at the Crafty Misfit or at Just Another Movie Night or both, and tell us if you have seen this movie. I really, really, really want to hear from you. I really want to hear from you. You can comment on any of the photographs, and I will answer you.
Well, it's on Shudder, so we found it on Shudder.
Yeah, we found it on
And
Shudder.
That means to me, there are people like, let's face facts. Shudder doesn't have as many movies as like Netflix has on its service,
Right.
and they change it so often and they drop movies. There are people who have the service that are just going to watch any new movie that gets popped up on there.
Mm-hmm.
And
sure.
God bless them. I wish we did that, but we don't. We only watch the worst of the worst.
I mean, yeah, for sure. But there's a lot of film buffs out there that find like there's a cult following for a lot of movies
That's what I'm
that
saying.
we still don't even know about, and we're horror fans. So if there is a cult following for this movie somewhere out there, I would love to hear from you.
I
To
just
hear from you.
And tell me if there's a shirt out there that says just her face and says,
We have a Dracula.
"Do we have a Dracula?" That's got to be a shirt somewhere. I hope.
God.
That's an amazing shirt. So let's get back on track here. Yeah, that got. So the two
now I'm
husbands
lost.
leave.
Okay.
So what happens is that the two husbands decide to go buy guns.
Yeah. Well, okay. First of all, all they know right now is that there's some kind of creature that drained their wives of all the blood.
They actually don't know about the blood. They don't know about that yet. They just know that their wives were found dead.
Yeah. Well, they were found in the bog. So
Yeah.
that means that there's some kind of creature or something. It doesn't even have to be a creature, but just something, a person, whatever.
Yeah.
So they want to get revenge.
And I guess I should also point out there's a really weird moment where it seems like they left in footage from the set where it looks like you can't really make it out because it's really dark, but in the woods there seems to be the creature, whatever the creature is. You can't really make it out. It just seems like hairy body or some kind of like thing like that, like fuzzy looking.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like another person is telling that that thing to go away.
Yeah, like that's why I thought I saw two people. It didn't look like one creature. It looked like two people. I'm like, wait a minute.
And
is there something going on here? Like there's people just walking through?
In Monty Python's Holy Grail, where they keep cutting to, it turns out that it's supposed to be in real time, and you don't really know that, but they keep cutting to a documentary film crew making a movie in the movie.
Yes.
It seems like that just happens out of the blue in this movie.
Yes.
It just, and what's crazy is I could make out that who the character was that was telling the other character to go away. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't tell it was the monster. And it also doesn't make sense for the film that would have happened. Right. It's a real split-second thing that's in the movie that seems like it was left in.
It seems like a mistake. Because at least in Monty Python, they knew that they were doing that because it was supposed to be,
It ties into the end.
Yeah,
as a joke.
But this here, it just seemed like they messed up and left it in.
It is very odd.
Yeah.
And like I said, we cut to the gun store where the two husbands want to go buy guns. And they're asking the guy at the gun store. And when I say everybody is terrible at acting, even the guy at the gun store is bad.
Oh, God, bad.
And he tells them, well, do you live here in the state? And they say, no. Why? And he says, well, you can't buy guns in the state unless you live here. And the other guy goes, you know what? He's right. I've heard that in other states too. I was like, holy shit. Like, this dialogue, this movie.
It's the worst dialogue. This whole movie has terrible dialogue.
But this is where another one of the best actors ever shows up in the film. Off camera, we hear a guy's voice say, "Oh, I can help you with those guns."
Oh my God, the 2-second Stanley, what we'll call him, because he literally shows up and he's gone.
He is the guy who's waving to the thing in the forest, like they get off set.
Yeah,
that was the actor because he's dressed and he is acting. If you told me this was Trey Parker in Cannibal the Musical doing a joke character,
he's dressed like Huck Finn.
He's dressed like a hillbilly but with a hat,
like a straw hat,
and he's also doing a squinting eye thing as like his deformity. He's only squinting his eyes.
It's like he has some kind of yeah, you're right, like a deformity, but
it's just like the actor's like, oh, I can't get any makeup on my face, so I'm just gonna squint my eyes.
Right, there's no makeup department, first of all, but
there is. I mean, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Oh my God! And so the director's probably like, okay, here's your motivation. You have to act like a total podunk, no brain cells, just redneck piece of crap.
This director's like at the dentist, and he's like, hey, you want to be in my film? To the dentist. And the dentist is like, hell, you want to be in your film? And he's like, you're going to be Jebediah, who's going to buy guns, but you got to act like you're mentally challenged.
Oh, my God.
And this guy, it comes out of nowhere, and it is like a cartoon character.
Yeah, but what is he even in the scene for? Like, I don't even get it. Like,
okay, so the two guys can't buy guns for themselves.
Right, so he's
along. Like, you can give me the money and give me, I'll buy the guns for you. And they're like, well, what's the catch? And he's like, well, you can give me a little more money. And he's like, he'll do anything for a couple more bucks. And he's like, oh, I'll do anything for some money.
Yeah, he's like, I can get anything you need. I just need some money.
It is wild. And these guys are like, this guy's a little out of it.
I mean,
and these are two drunk idiots saying that this guy's out of it.
Yes.
Well, you have to be a resident or I can't sell you anything at all. That's federal law.
That's a bunch of crap.
No, that's right. I've heard about it in other states, too.
Gentlemen, I can be of some help.
Hey, who is that?
You get the hell out of here, Fry.
Wallace Fry, at your service.
You better count your fingers if you shake hands with that creep.
Wallace Fry can get you anything you want. Anything?
Yeah, for $1.
For sure, for $1.
Well, I guess they buy guns, and they buy these, like, elephant guns.
I mean, yeah, first of all, they didn't even look like they would even be...
Oh, and the one husband...
Real guns.
I think the husband puts bullets in it and looks down the barrel?
Oh my God, I said that to you. He puts the bullets in, and he cocks the gun, and then he puts the barrel, like, in his face.
He
stares
looks
down the barrel.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be something. These two idiots with guns going into the freaking bog, trying to kill whatever they think killed their wives.
Yeah.
This is going to be a debacle.
Well-
and I thought they were going to show us a lot, and they didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't.
Well, so we get this guy who buys the guns for them, tells them that he might know about the thing that's in the bog that might have killed his wives, their wives.
Of course
and they're
he
like,
knows.
how do you know that? And he's like, I don't know, but I know someone who does. Right? So he brings them to what I can only explain is a shack teepee. It's like a house in the middle of the bog in the woods.
But is it a house, though?
Because when they go inside, it's like a TARDIS. Like the outside is like a tent. And when they go inside,
yeah.
it's like a whole warehouse room.
I mean, it is. And it's got like...
It's like a garage.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. But here we meet Adriana.
We meet Adriana.
She looks like somebody just put some silly putty all over her face.
They try to make age makeup.
Yeah, they try to do an age thing. I mean, she looks like they just tried to make her look like every witch from like every movie when you were a kid. Like every caricature of a witch.
Yeah, it's not even a witch. It's actually the gypsy woman from the Wolfman.
You are correct.
That's what they're doing here.
Yeah, but she looks like she could just be like a witch from, one of our childhood movies. But she just, the makeup, here's the makeup department coming in strong. They just put silly putty all over her face. It's terrible. It's terrible.
And the greatest fun fact is it's the lead actress.
Yeah.
Who is the pathologist.
She was pulling double duty because I guess they
Yes.
didn't have the budget to pay someone else.
And what's really funny is they don't even mind about their bad makeup because they zoom in on this woman's face.
Oh,
hardcore.
They get in there.
Yeah.
I mean, they are in her pores.
They film it in a dark lit room though, so it kind of hides it a little bit.
It's dim in there.
And then this woman's doing old woman acting.
Where she's trying.
Yeah, she's like,
Oh my god, this
creature comes from the bog and lives on the bottom of the lake.
Yeah, she knows all about
She
this thing.
knows everything.
It's astounding.
A little too knowledgeable.
Yeah, I mean, there's
about
always
this
one.
creature.
There's always one in every movie
Yep,
that has
yes.
all the knowledge.
Usually it's an old drunk man, but
Yeah.
here it's a gypsy woman.
Buck Flowers.
Yeah, if Buck Flowers would have showed up, this would have elevated it again.
Crazy drunk pedestrian.
No one believes me. Or the guy from Friday the 13th that says you're all doomed would have shown up. That would have been amazing. So yeah, they go to this woman. They go in a shack with her, and she tells them that the creature was woken up from its slumber from the bottom of the bog by them. And they said, it wasn't us. And he says, you know what? I know it was. It was the boat with the fishermen in it.
Oh.
We found the boat abandoned.
Mm-hmm.
It must have been the fishermen that used that boat. And then that's when the guy who brought them there, the guy with the squinting eyes, goes, I did see him out here for a while. I saw him and I knew he was up to no good. Right?
Let's call him Skater.
He had a
Let's call
funny
him
name.
Skater.
Yeah, it has a great name. I don't remember what it is now. We should have looked that up too. He goes, and so while I'm telling the story, we're getting like all these shots of the under the bog of the water and the creature arising from the water and everything. And then we kind of start hearing the creature moaning outside of their TARDIS that they're in.
TARDIS.
And she says, don't worry, the creature won't come in here. You're safe here. But that makes Skeeter go, I don't know, I'm worried. We're trapped in here. And if the creature comes in here, we're going to die. So he decides to run out and be murdered by the creature instantly.
Yep.
We don't see it. We just hear his screams. What did you see his name is? Like
Okay.
Jebediah? Or?
No, so okay, there's a couple people he could be. So there's Potter the Poacher.
I don't
know
remember this
who
character.
Potter the Poacher is.
I love Potter the Poacher though.
Yep, and then
It
you've
sounds
got
like a BoJack Horseman joke.
Oh my god, it does. Wallace Fry.
No,
Could
none of
it
these
be
sound familiar.
Wallace? I mean, but the other ones we know all of them, so it has to be one of those three that I mentioned. Potter the Poacher.
Well, while we're getting this information, we also cut back and forth between the scientist talk And I think one of the things that we get here is that the woman suggests from the autopsy that something that she believes it was a creature. And remember, I don't think she thinks it's a Dracula anymore, but she's starting to think that it's definitely a creature, not a human. But something used some kind of puncture down the throat of the victims.
Mhm.
And I think the sheriff says, well, who the hell is walking around here with a syringe on its face? But he doesn't say syringe. What didn't he say? All the lines wrong? We laughed our asses off. A hypodermic needle. But he said
yes, but he says it like he says hypodemic nurdle.
a hypodermic nurdle down his throat, and then he goes, well, never mind. You know what I mean.
Oh my god! It was like he just flubbed his line,
Yeah.
but instead of the director calling cut, he quickly tried to correct himself.
It's like,
it was crazy.
She's like something used. Whatever it attacked with, it stuck it down, and they keep saying this over and over. They explain it heavily. That it was down the throat, through the. Do you remember all the technical terms there? They say a lot.
I mean, you can just make up words through the hypothalamus.
Well, all was
through
real
the
things that we
diggity
knew.
Dog cruncher to the hippopotamus. Yeah, I mean, they were just making words up.
So they're like, and then that's when you said, "I think it's a mosquito." It's a giant mosquito. What else would?
I was like, of course
get
it is.
the blood through like a needle-esque face or something to
Yes,
suck blood.
but Adriana, which is why they picked that name. It's just it's too normal for this woman. But she said that the creature lives underneath the water. So I'm like, okay, that can't be. It can't be.
Yeah.
And if it's like fresh water, then it can't be like some kind of squid monster. So what the hell is it?
Yeah. So I mean, they have a lot of thoughts. Now, the best part of that scene is that they constantly are getting drunk together. So the sheriff, he keeps going, well, I don't know what to do. Basically just keeps passing everything off, passing the buck, and being like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, well, they hire a diving team to go in.
Oh, that's later. But right now we have to worry about this scene because it's very important. Because it is creepy as all shit.
Mm-hmm.
The three of them are back at the one scientist's house. And the three of them are getting drunk. And they're all dressed fancy except the sheriff. He don't give a shit. And that's when he says the needle thing, and we were laughing.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just decides, well, I guess it's time to go home. So he leaves. And this leaves our other two characters to hook up. Our old actors to start making out.
It is so cringy.
It does it close. It plays the song from the opening. And by the way, we never even talked about the title fonts.
Okay, so that was
It was
Comic Sans.
Yeah, it looks like it. It looked like a comic book, like blurbs. Like it's just so bad looking. None of it is spooky looking or good for the thing. And they start playing that theme song here. Basically, what we find out is that her husband, that she's a widow,
Yeah.
and that it's been 6 years. And he's like, I don't want you to be a widow anymore. I don't want you to be with me. Whatever.
This is
And she tells
Dr. Brad. So
Dr. Brad and what's her name?
and Ginny.
Ginny and
Yeah.
Dr. Ginny and Dr. Brad
Yeah.
are talking, and she says, you can stop. And he says, no, I gotta get this off my chest. And she's like, no, you don't. And then that's her saying, I want you to. And so they start making out with the music playing. But the way that they make out is creepy as all shit.
my God.
She keeps stopping and like making like weird orgasmic faces at him while she just stares at his face. And we only see the back of his head. We don't know if he's doing something to her, but she is reacting insanely.
I mean,
She's
yeah.
like whispering into his face, just staring at him.
It's cringy. It's so
Crazy.
cringy.
It just
Like,
goes on
oh
and
my gosh.
on.
Yeah, and like if you want to watch a scene, just one scene from this movie, just Google bog makeout scene or something on YouTube and just watch this, and you will literally
Please
like.
don't do that,
I
please.
mean, you know, you have to do it just for entertainment
Oh my
purposes.
God.
But Jesus Christ, this scene is so gross. It's like two old people, and they're not even really kissing each other. They're just like pecking on each other's faces, and she's just staring longingly into his eyes. And then you got the song. I just want to lie you down in the sunflower bed and love you forever. And it goes on for no less than 15 minutes.
It's wild.
And I'm like, okay, first of all, they're doing a close-up on the kissing, so you can like see every like little thing that they're doing. It's so
It's
gross.
only her face. It's only her face.
Yeah.
Because it's behind his head.
You can see like the side of his face, but like she's just staring creepily into his face. It was so bizarre. It was just so
It's a lot.
creepy.
It's a lot.
Oh my god, I'm like, can we just stop? And then the song playing.
Yeah.
And the song is so creepy and like, oh, it's so drawn out. It's awful. I mean,
Yeah.
that scene just did me right in. I'm like, I can't do this movie anymore.
So they cut to the next day, and the two husbands have now gone to our characters to tell them everything that had happened with the old woman that they talked to.
Adriana. Yeah.
Adriana.
It's too
The
normal.
gypsy woman, or whatever the hell you want to call her. They tell them, look, this happened, this happened, this happened. You got to get to this place. She seems like she knows everything. And it's true. She knows everything. And they're like, we got to go investigate it. And they're like, okay, look. The Dr. Brad guy goes, hey, you guys calm down. Go get some breakfast. That's a doctor's orders. And we're going to figure this out. They just don't give a shit. Like, and he's like, we got to do something. And these two guys look like they're wrecked again. The husbands.
I mean, I think that the actors were wrecked just to get through this filming. I mean, I would need to be completely drunk to get through this movie. I mean, it's just something.
I think the cop, they're trying to figure out what's going on. And I think the cop comes up with a plan to go to the lake where the bog is and stick a stick of C4 with a charge unit in it, and then like wire it up to the street.
Yeah,
and below the bog up.
They want to blow the bog because they think it's going to draw it out if it's in there.
And he's like, anything in the water is going to get killed.
Yeah. So
when they blow up the bog, it's a completely different place than they're filming.
Oh my goodness! Like you could tell, like the whole entire scene that they're showing is like some kind of stock footage from another movie. It's not even the same location. It's not anywhere near the same location. I was like, oh geez, are you serious? Like you couldn't even try?
Yeah, and the my favorite thing about this part is that two husbands are watching. He blows up the lake, the bog. His deputy gets back onto land. They blow it up. They go, well, everything that's in that lake is dead. And then they just get in the cop car and leave.
And they leave the husbands there.
The two husbands are like, okay. And the two cops just drive away. And the two husbands are like, well, we're going to stick around to see if anything comes out of the bog now.
Right. Well, what's the point? Like, if you're just going to throw us, like, basically a whole block of C4 in the water, you're not going to stick around for 2 minutes to see what arises?
They just leave. And the best part about this is they leave so quick that they're halfway down the street and they hear shooting.
Yes.
From behind.
Oh my
and they
God.
look over their shoulders backwards, while they're driving away, and they go, that sounds like it's coming from back there. And they turn around, and they're like, I think those husbands are shooting things. So they go back, and it's only been seconds, and the husbands are dead.
I mean, worst cops ever.
Yeah, and the funniest part about this is the sheriff points down at the bog, and he says, there, go down there. And the deputy goes down there, and we only see, as we're showing the sheriff's face, we hear the deputy screaming to death.
Yes.
Like, he instantly gets killed when he walks down there.
Like, that's it,
And the sheriff is like,
Like, I mean, what do you expect? You sent your
jeez.
freaking Patsy down there.
Yeah. It's like Rick and Morty. He's like, jeez. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I was like,
So the sheriff's like, he just leaves. Three people just got killed in front of him, including one of his cops that worked for him. And he goes back and tells, like, Dr. Brad and Dr. Ginny, right? He's the doctors. He's like, guys, this is some crazy shit. Like, there's a creature, and it just killed everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And they shot the hell out of this thing. And what's really funny is there's a random other cop that shows up. He's a younger guy, and he keeps walking into the scenes to do dialogue drops. And he is, like, really trying. And it's just the way that he goes about it feels like a soap opera.
Yeah.
He feels like he's in a whole nother movie. But he drops the knowledge that when the husbands were shooting it, they shot off a piece of it.
Yes.
And I guess it was on land. And so they scooped it up in a pickle jar and they gave it to the two doctors.
They gave it to Ginny, and so she started running like a whole bunch of tests.
Yeah, that's when the telescope thing, the microscope, I mean.
The microscope thing happens, and then they decide that, oh my god, there's human DNA in this.
Yeah, yeah. She keeps saying things like, what did she say? Well, that's when he looks in there wrong, the actor. But first she says, look at the I think something like the blood cell count.
Mm-hmm.
And then he looks. And then he looks away, and then she goes, now look at the silicone on the... She says something crazy that I was like, what the fuck are you looking at? What are they looking at?
Freaking words that, I mean, they're like I said, they are real words, but they don't go together.
Yeah.
Like, look at the medullary
It was
silicone.
It was something strange. Like, it was like, look at the slide. Did you look at the slides? I got them. They're brand new. Just wanted you to look at the plastics. It's just so strange. And I'm like, what is happening in the slide? What are they looking at, you know?
Their dialogue is it's obscene.
They're intense. They're always, like, flirting.
I mean, you can't go one scene without the
without-
two of them, without them, like, smooching.
It's that way, and it's the sheriff drinking. They can't go a scene without it.
I mean, at least the drinking makes sense. Why are you trying to throw a stupid love story into this creature feature? That doesn't make any sense. Like,
Well,
these two people, like, we've seen it done before.
It's rare that
But-
you see a creature feature without a love
True,
story.
but the way they're doing this, you know, it's not romantic. It's not sweet. It's gross. It's weird. It's cringy.
I guess so.
It's just cringy.
I mean, the way that they go about the love scenes.
Yes, the love scenes are
But
creepy.
I have no problem with them flirting. It's just that they undercut it with science talk.
Yeah.
So it's very bizarre and laughable, and you're like,
so
what
weird.
the hell?
So weird.
Somehow we got to get this movie to DeGrasse Tyson.
Oh my god,
No,
yeah.
DeGrasse
Can you
Tyson.
please tell us what any of these
Just
mean?
have these people
any of these
watch
words
these
mean?
movies. Bill Nye, just watch their brains melt as they're saying these words. So basically, they're like you said, it's like human DNA in it, and they don't get any further here.
No.
With figuring out what it is or how to stop it,
Like, at all.
except that they know that the old woman was connected somehow because the two husbands say she knows everything.
Yeah, and it never killed her.
Yeah, and it's like, why does she know about it, and how come she's living out there and she's not being attacked?
Yeah.
So I think they send 2 other cops to investigate her, but I believe these cops also get murdered.
Yeah, okay, so there's literally a total of 5 police officers in this whole town. They all die.
Pretty much. I think only one of them survives, but yeah, I think it's the one that just is like in a soap opera. He keeps acting. He's always standing against a wall to giving a whole dialogue.
Yeah.
So yeah, they this is the best part is finally the sheriff decides to call other cops in, but he does it in the best way possible. He calls them and lies. He says, "Well, I need some help looking for some bodies in the lake, in the bog here.
Yeah.
And could you just come? Oh, we'll discuss it when you get here."
Oh, that's
He
when
doesn't want to
the-
say, "Hey, by the way, there's a giant monster."
You don't warn them or anything.
Yeah.
Just be like, come over here and just, go right to your death.
And what's funny is the 2 people who show up are buddies of his.
Oh my god. So yeah, so they send scuba divers that are
Two
like
pro scuba
his
divers come.
former like college buddies or something, and he knows them, and it's so
I
amazing.
think they're kind of law enforcement. I think they're all
Are
law
they?
enforcement, but they're some kind of like rescue divers.
Okay, well that makes sense. But like, you know, he's friends with them, and immediately they go down to investigate the
They
lake.
have a plan
and
where they get out in a boat and there's we watch them like sail off and they keep telling you where to go and it's really bad.
and they're dead.
And they're dead, but before they die, they bring up someone went to a Michael's.
Okay.
And they took those
Light bulbs?
gachapons or gacha. What do you call them when you go to the slot machine? You know, like the machine you get the little toy
Oh
in
yeah,
the
they're
plastic
like
bubble.
little gumball machine.
The gumball machine toys. And all those little eggs are stuck together. Someone took a hot glue gun.
They look like light bulbs.
I didn't see light bulbs, but yeah, it just looked like a whole bunch of like ornaments.
To try and make like a sack of eggs.
They're supposed to be and you know what the best part was? They kind of like just stuck like some kind of gel all over it, like
Yeah.
lube. But then they also put a couple. Did you notice the couple crabs or whatever they put on it?
Yes, I
Just
did.
to make it look like, oh, it's fishy. You know, you're like, oh, put a real crab on there, slap them on there.
Oh my
So
god.
before they die, these two scuba divers, they get to put the eggs in the boat.
And so they retrieve like a
They
sack
retrieve
of
a
eggs.
sack of eggs. It's literally a pyramid of glued together ornaments.
Right.
And they bring it back to the thing, and they're like, these are some kind of egg. But they're see-through, and they're like, they're not eggs. They're not gonna, there's something like eggs that will birth these creatures. And they're like, but they have some kind of human DNA.
Yeah, okay. First of all, can we just say that the human DNA thing, it really doesn't get explained.
They say that what it sounds like to me is that they use a female to I thought they were saying procreate with the human.
Okay,
That
well
they used a woman and we find out that it is the old woman, gypsy woman.
yes.
Is-
Her DNA was in
It's virtually
Yeah.
her children.
Okay, so here's the thing about that. They never actually say it,
They
but they
kinda
kind of like imply that she is the mother of the egg sack.
Yeah, it's
I
wild.
don't know.
And she goes missing, and I don't even know if they talk about where she went.
They said she's dead.
I don't remember them saying this, but
They
what's
said
really
she's
funny
dead.
is it feels like it ends really soon here because they finally come up with an idea to make a liquid. Now all of the townsfolk, all the men in town are like starting to get antsy. They want revenge. They want to
Yeah.
go out there and kill whatever this thing is, right? And they go to the gun store. Everybody always shows up at the gun store because it's only one of 5 location shots they can have in this movie.
Yeah.
And so they're all at the gun store, and there's the deputy guy that's the soap opera actor is always showing up everywhere to talk to everybody like this. And all the guys in town are like, we want revenge. We're all here to get guns. We want to get revenge. And the deputy's like, well, the sheriff's not going to like this. Well, then they're like, let's march to the sheriff's station right now and talk to him about it. And at this point, Dr. Ginny and Dr. Brad have come up with an idea to make some kind of like foam that will tame the creature, that will like make the creature. I don't know what it's made out of. I know they probably said technical things that make sense in some weird way, but I could not even keep up with it. My mind was melting.
At that point, we had already heard so many ridiculous words that we just couldn't.
And it kind of gets to the point where you're like, I don't even know what words mean anymore, you know? And they said they're going to use some kind of gel that it's going to stop the creature. It's some kind of fish thing that'll make the creature pass out.
It'll subdue it.
Yeah, and they're like, well, how are we going to get it done? And they suggest making foam cannons with the fire station, using the fire hoses to shoot the gel on the creature.
Yeah, I mean,
But they have
it's
to lure the
smart.
creature out. And they're like, well, we need people. And so that the mob shows up at the police station, and they walk up just when he's there, and then they all like, and he's like, what are you boys all here for? And they're like, well, we want revenge. We want to go down to the water and get to whatever this thing is that's killing our people. And he's like, perfect. I want to do the same thing. And they're like, oh, really? And he's like, yep. And they're like, oh, and the one head of the mob guy goes, of the mob, he says, well, what are you going to do? And he's like, how about you guys all come here first thing in the morning and we'll all go down to the bog together and stop this thing. And they're like, okay, but how? And he goes, that's nice. Anyway, see you in the morning.
Again with the dialogue.
Yeah,
I was laughing so hard. I
He
was
doesn't
like,
even answer him. He just says, okay, yeah, I'll see you
What?
later. Yeah. And they all march off. And he just smiles. He just smiles into the camera like, I got my people. And so that's the plan. They get a truck full of this mob. They wheel them down there. They have a
truck
fire-
full of mob.
There literally is a mob on the back of a truck.
It is.
I don't even know why they couldn't walk there. They're just all standing in this truck.
Yeah.
They
But
look
you
like they're
know,
all about to fall out when it stops, too. It's really funny.
None of them die. They get the creature.
The creature comes out to attack them, and they shoot the foam cannon on it. And this seems like the end of the movie, to tell you the truth.
Right, yeah.
And they shoot the foam cannon on it, but really, they had to shoot a gas, by the way, that'll lure the creature out because it's some kind of fish smell.
Yeah.
And so they shoot it, and it's some kind of mist or blood mist of some sort. And when they do it, the creature comes out, but the sheriff, for some stupid reason, runs out in it, and the creature kills him.
So that is cop number, 6 that dies?
Yeah, it's the sheriff, the
It's
main
the sheriff.
character.
There's no cops left in this town.
Yeah, he dies off screen. We don't really know what happened. We don't know why he did it.
Yeah.
And they even say that later on. That, like, I think Dr. Ginny or whatever, she says, why'd he do it? I don't know. He was drunk, probably. And he ran off, and the other deputy was going to run after him, and he would have died too, but he didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they
Also, we have one deputy left.
yeah, then the soap opera guy. And we have a couple other ones later on, too.
Because that's a state police. They actually call the state police in to come and...
So funny.
Like,
They
it
show up
even
in
matters.
they show up in a family truckster with cop lights on it.
Yeah, they do. Well, that was the police back then. They had those, beige
I've never seen one like
cars.
that before.
And they were like ugly as sin. And they just had like, one thing on the side of the car with the red lights on
Yeah.
top. That was it.
So the foam cannon they hit the creature passes out, and then they go to kill it. And Dr. Brad's like, no, we want it alive?
Why?
I don't know. And then they capture it alive. They throw fish nets on it. They bring it back and they keep it wet with some kind of rain system, but right in front of Dr. Ginny's desk, they keep it.
It's the most odd place to
Yeah.
put this thing. And the worst part is that, I mean, yes, he's chained down, but they leave her alone
No
at
cops.
the lab with this thing.
Yeah.
So what do you think will happen next?
Yeah, no plan if he tries to escape. No plan whatsoever.
None.
And guess what happens? Oh, and
He
by
gets
the way,
loose.
he gets loose, but Dr. Brad calls his buddy in before it gets loose. It's like another scientist who knows about amphibian life, like some kind of like aquatic creatures.
Mm-hmm.
And he calls him in, and this is an actor who's in a ton of westerns. He's very well known for being in western films, and he did a lot of films too.
Dr. John Warren, it's his name, right? And his name is Leo Gordon. And let's see what he's in. He
He's
did
just in a lot.
Maverick. He
Yeah.
did The Haunted Palace.
Yes,
Uh
we know a lot. I've seen a lot of his films, I think.
yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff.
So he shows up. He flies in on a seaplane, and he sees the creature, and he's shocked about it. And he says, the bogs out here probably have a lot of species growing in it that we don't know about yet.
Mm-hmm.
And he's
Terrifying.
like, yeah, it's creepy. And he's like shocked by the whole thing. And he's saying that it uses, basically they go get drunk, and they leave Dr. Genie alone at her office with the creature working.
Which is just
And,
astounding.
and these two go have drinks, and they discuss what's going on. And he virtually tells him, hey, now that old woman is not its female host or whatever it's using her for,
Mhm.
now it's going to when it wakes up, these creatures are going to, if the eggs hatch, they're going to be looking for a new female host.
Mm-hmm. So guess what?
And then that's when the other Dr. Brad's like, wait a minute, she's alone with it.
Yeah, duh. Why would
So-
you even leave your girl alone
Yeah.
with this thing? Like, are you crazy? So yes, naturally
It wakes up.
It wakes up and
And she
breaks
tries
out.
to blowtorch it to that. Actually, she shuts a door nicely in front of it.
Very calmly.
And what's really funny, it does work because it doesn't know how to open the door, but what it does do is punch perfect squares.
Yes,
That
which is
the
astounding.
worst door breakable thing I've ever
It
seen.
is,
in my life.
well, you know, the claws that go through it would suggest that there's no way that it would be perfect
It
squares.
should be shattering the door, but
Yeah.
squares get punched out.
Yeah.
It is hilarious looking.
The prop department didn't give a shit.
Yeah. And by the way, so I guess we should talk about, because I don't even think we mentioned what the creature looks like.
Oh god, it's embarrassing.
It's a humanoid creature, but it has claw hands like a lobster.
I don't think it looks humanoid at all. I mean,
Well,
he just
it's on
walks.
two
He
legs.
just
It's a
walks on-
humanoid in the
Yeah.
sense that it walks on two legs. It stands upright, and it's got a fish head.
like, yeah, fish head, but with, yeah, huge eyeballs.
Huge eyeballs, the fin going down and head to the back.
I mean, it looks terrible, but it's not the most comical creature we've ever
It's
seen.
close.
We've seen some shitty
Yeah.
creatures.
Oh, we've seen some real bad ones, but it's not great. It's not bad, but what's really interesting to me is where is this thing that goes down people's throats?
Right. It doesn't exist.
It never is
Unless
there.
it comes out of the creature's mouth, which we'll never see.
But we never see it. Yeah, we never see how.
That's just like,
They
okay.
set it up so heavily, but they never do anything
Yeah,
with it.
see, I like my idea better. It should have been a mosquito. It should have been a giant mosquito. That would have been awesome.
Well, then we couldn't have the bog. They would have to have called it, I don't know,
I
something
mean, they
else.
could have still called it bog. I mean, mosquitoes live and breed around that watery snot. And that's exactly what it was. So, yeah, it could have been called bog anyway.
This movie could have been called Not a Dracula.
Could have been called Skeeters.
Well, that's already a movie.
It is?
Yep.
Shut up.
Yep, it is. That's a killer mosquito movie
Oh.
called
all
Skeeter.
right. Skeeter.
I think
How come we
Gunnar
haven't seen
Hansen
it?
is in it. Yeah, we have seen it.
We have seen Skeeter?
Gunnar Hansen, remember? Leatherface?
No. Oh, yeah, I know who he is.
Okay, well, anyways.
Skeeters. 2005?
Yeah. It was on Sci-Fi Channel.
Oh, good lord.
So, yeah, basically, Dr. Brad runs down to go save Dr. Ginny, his girl.
Mm-hmm.
But she fights off the monster by blow-torching it. It doesn't do anything. It burns down the entire science lab, and he carries her out. But not before dropping her little shoe
Her shoe fell off.
outside.
And so then when Dr. Brad arrives, he's like, oh, God,
Yeah.
her shoe. But for some reason, he doesn't think she burned up alive in there.
Because he found her shoe outside. It's like, how would the shoe have gotten there?
You know, that it's okay. I get it.
It's terrible logic, but it's
logic.
good enough, you know?
It's good enough.
My favorite thing, though, is they drive now to go find out where he's going. Now, they have to get on the road. There's two directions.
Mm-hmm.
They happen to pick the right direction.
Of course.
But even better is, while they're driving, one of them says, "What's that on the side of the road?" Now, they're full speed, driving with their cop lights on, trying to figure out where this creature is. And what the guy sees is practically a Double Dare set. It's just like some Double Dare goo.
It's goo.
I guess Double Dare is too old of a reference.
Okay.
What's a Nickelodeon splat
Yeah.
or something like that?
It really looks like the
just some goo,
it
some
looks like
ooze.
the sap coming from a tree, but
It's just on a log.
yeah, and there's
he
no way you
saw
can
it.
see that from the freaking
don't know how he
going
saw it.
50 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Come on. But
They stop, they find the goo, and they realize, oh, he went this way.
well, I mean, that could have been goo from anything. I don't recall them ever seeing that particular goo before.
Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah, let's just speculate. Oh, yeah, he's over here.
Exactly. And sure as shit, they're like, basically, the one guy's like, I hope he hasn't used her yet.
Like,
He
he
said
doesn't
something
use
great.
that word.
Yeah, he said, and we
He-
both said we know what he really wanted to say.
Oh, my God. What does he say? How does he
He said
put
something.
it?
He puts it nicer.
Like, he doesn't say impregnate. He says,
Yeah,
like,
something else.
oh, like blood drain. What's
No,
yeah,
no,
he's-
no. Basically, something about using her for spawning.
Yeah, I forget what word he uses, but It's yeah.
We
Like,
know
so
what the,
hopefully he didn't like, impregnate her basically.
So he's Frankenstein monster carrying her to the bog, and they get there just as he gets to the bog. So they start shooting at it, missing her in its arms, of course. He puts her down and goes to attack them, and for some reason can't kill them as fast as he heals everybody else. He has to fight these two guys off. Now, I don't know if the other doctor, the new doctor that showed up in town,
Oh yeah.
I don't know if he's killed instantly. We just don't see him again.
Yeah, he just disappears.
He keeps yelling for Dr. Ginny to get away, but instead she runs into his arms. And what's really wild here is they don't really have an option of how to kill this creature. What luckily, the family trucks or cops show out of nowhere and ram the creature into a tree and explode.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the end of the movie.
The end.
Not before we take a nice little stroll through the bog into the bottom of the water to see the egg sac still there. And then it say, the end, question mark.
Yeah. So we're just to assume that they're all going to hatch and, there's going to be more.
In silly font. Silly white blurb font.
Of course. We wouldn't have it any other way.
And that is
then
the bog, guys.
The end of movie song comes back up. It's the same song that's been playing through the whole movie. I'm gonna sit in the meadow.
I love you're still singing it.
Gonna have some peanut butter and jelly and love you until the day I die.
When I put the real words against this, you're gonna be like, oh my god, I'm not even close.
I know I'm not close.
It's not even like...
I don't know what the fucking words are.
I wish I could remember.
Oh my god, it's so awful. Ugh, jeez, I don't know. I tried to Google it when the song was playing because I wanted to see who the artist was that was singing it. But it wouldn't even come up on Google. Yeah. And it's not even on the credits at all. So I went to the music thing on IMDb, and there's nothing there either. It says that there's a guy responsible for the music. Obviously, there's a woman singing.
I like a guy responsible. You're responsible for this? You son of a bitch.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So yeah, that's the bog. That's the movie. And we definitely skipped through some funny bits and some crazy dialogue. And I'm going to try to find it all and put it in. But good lord, it's such a bare bones movie. Nothing really happens while these crazy conversations, and it's what makes this movie special is how bad the acting and the dialogue and the directing is.
Oh my god.
It is atrocious on every front. Like everything that's happening is like holy shit. And I could not look away like a train wreck. I was like, what is happening? Like, holy shit, they really thought this was a good idea to direct it like this? To do a tight shot on someone's face when they're thinking?
This was a poor decision all around.
It's wild. The fact that this woman said the Dracula quote. She read that line of dialogue and said it straight-faced. And she didn't even correct him. Like, shouldn't I say vampire?
Yeah, I'm sure she did. I'm sure she questioned her dialogue throughout this because she probably didn't even just like, what am I saying?
Yeah.
What does this mean?
What's a Dracula? Yeah. Like,
all the scientific terms
know? Yeah.
that she was using.
Oh, their faces when they're saying like the science stuff is amazing.
I don't think they can believe it. Like, I think they're in shock too.
Oh,
but
so
like,
good.
I mean, as far as ratings go,
yeah, please tell me.
I'm giving it a 3. Only because I was entertained by a lot of it, but otherwise, this movie, bad, man. It was a bad movie.
This one's really close to being on. I mean, I think I'm putting it on my so bad it's good list.
Yeah,
because
so.
I think you have to see it. This one is.
I think so.
Kind of special in how bad it is.
Because it was, there was a lot of moments where we were laughing because, I mean, we weren't supposed to be laughing, but it actually gave us something, you know?
Yeah, I think we've seen other movies like Dr. Z, The Blood Waters of Dr. Z and stuff like that. I think only because Mr. Science Theater is so good at it.
Yes.
But that movie's terrible. But I know there's like a fan thing for it. Like people think it's funny.
It's shocking.
But this one is like a better, funnier version to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't recommend that you watch this movie. It's trash, but I think that you should just go and Google that scene when they're kissing. Just like Google bog
like
make
that
out
that's the scene.
Just because you have to hear the song and just
Oh, it's gonna be on this.
what
I'm gonna
we
have
were
it.
completely flabbergasted watching. Yeah, it was something. This movie is a 3. What do you give it?
I'm giving it a 3 as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Alright.
I think that's perfect.
On the same page.
Yeah, I really think that's a perfect score. I mean,
is.
I can't go any higher. I want to, because I thought it was so silly that I really enjoyed it. But yeah,
I mean, all right. So this has been Talking Trash. If you guys are so inclined, please follow us on Instagram at mine is the Crafty Misfit, and Scott has Just Another Movie Night.
yeah, I run that. I run our movie page. I put up reviews,
Mm-hmm.
and if you can please message me if you have ideas of movies you want us to talk about,
please.
or if you have movies that you think are the worst movies you've ever seen to do on this.
Yes, please give us
We love that
recommendations because that is like the highlight of our lives. We love recommendations. We love talking about movies. We love watching bad movies and, good movies, of course. But, we love the trash because it's so much fun. So if you have any recommendations, just go ahead to Instagram and follow us and write to us, and we'll be really happy to hear from you.
Yeah. All right, but otherwise, thank you for listening, and this has been a fun one, and I hope we find another one like this soon. I really do.
We will.
And I love the accidental find like this. But yeah, have a good one. Thanks for listening.
Did you notice the crystalline structure of the cells?
Yes, I did.
What did you make of it?
Now, wait a minute. I'm over my head as it is. Don't forget, I'm just a country sawbones, not a trained pathologist like you.
Don't be modest, Doctor. Give me another slide, will you?
Yeah.
I stained the dense part of the slime tissue.
Did it stain all right?
Perfectly. My God, this is bizarre. I could almost swear I was looking at a metallurgical cross-section of a 6B group metal.
6B group. Let's see, on the periodic table, that would be, boy, it's been a long time since I looked at that. So it'd be chromium, molybdenum, and maybe tantalum.
Very good, Doctor. First 2 were correct, but the third is tungsten, not tantalum.
Well, 2 out of 3 isn't too bad for a country sawbones, is it? Animal, mineral, and animal. What, no vegetable?
No vegetable. These are mucus-producing cells with a crystal shape.
Oh, my gosh. Yin and yang, hot and cold, positive and negative. It's a contradiction. An absolute logical inconsistency.
And right in front of our eyes. You know the crazy thing that was running through my mind? Living fossil, breathing stone, mineralized tissue, and slimy.
That's strange. But every time I look out at those bogs, those glacial lakes, I can't help but think. 15,000 years ago, they were covered with ice. 10,000 years ago, it began to melt. I've always wondered, what would have happened beneath that glacial carpet? What strange forms of life could have existed those millions of years ago, only to be caught, trapped, crushed, and held under the ice mass, waiting for the first warm days to come, slumbering in the ooze, just waiting.
Here's something.
What's that?
Well, it looks like bits of chitinous tissue.
Insect exoskeleton?
I don't know. But it's organic for sure. Could be integument, bits of a carapace, makes absolutely no sense.
So what does make sense?
Well, the substance was found deeply embedded in the hyoid process. Now, and if it were merely a piece or a fragment of an insect, how could it have gotten that deeply embedded in her trachea? It had to be driven there with tremendous force.
Wait a minute, just a minute. Are you saying this is a fragment of whatever was used to pierce her throat and withdraw the blood? But, Ginny, that's organic material. Not some broken-off piece of a medical apparatus. Do you have any idea what you're implying?
Yes, I do. Now I'm almost sure it wasn't a human being that took those lives.
You think you can prove it conclusively?
Well, they have an electron scan over at TC Lab. I'd like to look at this fragment at 1,000 power.
I've got the fastest cab in the county. Let's go.
You gonna tell Red Home about this?
But tell him what? That all of you lunatics are lunatics? Christ, he knows that already. Christ, he probably even knows what you're thinking. Well, goodbye, dummies.